I'm Shawnee Brzezowski from Cupcakes in Bloom in Berlin, here at WBOC's historic Studio D. You're watching Delmarva Life.
Oh, Shawnee and her cupcakes. Yum.
Can we hurry up and do this segment? I'm wanting some of them cupcakes. Sorry.
Well, one of the most well-known residents of the town of Oxford isn't exactly a person. Her name is Talbot, and she's a fairy, the Oxford Bellevue Ferry to be exact.
The story spans several centuries, but what's even more impressive is this ferry has shown that you don't have to be a man to assume the role as captain. Ryan Spiros in Talbot County this afternoon with more along the Treat-Avon River, right?
Well, Jimmy and Lisa, female ferry boat captains are in a class all their own. That's because there aren't many of them in the country. But the Oxford Bellevue Ferry actually has two of them, and they're proving that you don't have to be a male to take on certain jobs. Take a look.
The Oxford Bellevue Ferry has been crossing the Treat-Avon River for 329 years. It's an icon in Talbot County and on Delmarva. After all, it's the oldest privately owned ferry in the country.
It's always different. People say that, don't you get bored because you're just going back and forth. It's never the same. I mean, last week we had dolphins jumping in the river in front of us.
Judy Bixler and her husband Tom are the owners of the ferry. They bought the vessel in 2001 after retiring in Talbot County. Between April and November, the ferry travels between Oxford and the community of Bellevue, just on the other side of the river.
That's the nice part about this ferry, is that we're seasonal. So I don't freeze and I don't have to shovel the deck. And we get to meet people from all over the world. As a matter of fact, we just had a young woman from Rome on board the boat. So it's kind of fun. You just never know who you're going to meet, and it's an interesting job.
Taking the ferry cuts down on travel time considerably. It serves as a shortcut between Oxford and St. Michael's, reducing a 20-mile trip by car to only 7 miles by boat. But the ferry is more than a shortcut. It's also breaking down stereotypes. That's because Judy is one of the captains on board.
Automatically, people think when they see a captain, they think of a man. So I get a lot of gentlemen that will drive on board and say, oh, if I'd known it was a woman, I'm not sure I would have gotten on. When I get them to the other side safely, they'll say, oh, you did all right for a girl.
Judy says she is one of only a few female ferry boat captains in the country. And now she's not the only one on the Oxford Bellevue Ferry.
It's almost indescribable. It really is, because it took about a couple weeks to sink in that, you know, I'm running this boat, like I'm it.
Martha Effinger is the other ferry captain. She began working on the ship some 8 years ago as a deckhand.
They trusted me with training really early on as a deckhand, and they, you know, trust me a lot, and to even ask me that was just a really great honor.
As she got closer to the age where she could be a captain and was talking about how much she enjoyed the ferry, we talked to her about getting her license.
The first thing I thought of was like the major responsibilities that you have as the captain. You're taking care of not only, you know, all the passengers, but your crew and the, you know, the ferry itself. And so really for me, that was like the responsibilities was what I needed to make sure I could handle.
Martha was able to make it through the training that left her with what's called a master's license, which allows her to commandeer the ferry and carry passengers.
So there's a lot of hoops to jump and a lot of tests to take just to make sure you're qualified and you're able to take on the responsibility of being a captain.
It's a rigorous amount of work that has to go through. You have to earn a Coast Guard license. There's a number of hours that you have to spend aboard a boat. Then you have to take a number of tests in order to achieve that.
And just like Judy, it's not unusual for people to do a double take when they see this 20-something-year-old woman climbing up into the captain's seat.
She gets a lot of interesting looks as well. People are surprised that she is the captain, but they watch her in her actions and how she handles the boat and how she handles herself as a young woman on the boat, and she does a great job.
Proving you don't have to be a man to be a captain.
You ready?
We're ready.
Now, as we speak, the Oxford Bellevue Ferry is crossing the Treat-Avon River en route to Bellevue. We should mention Judy's husband, Tom, is also a captain on board the ferry. And as I've been mentioning throughout much of the show, this year, 2013, is a big year for the Oxford Bellevue Ferry. That's because on October 13th, it will turn 330 years old, and that right there is a milestone. With that said, Jimmy and Lisa, we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Oh, what a great story. Very interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, appreciate that.
Actually rode that ferry by accident.
By accident?
By accident. We were heading to St. Michael's, took the wrong road, ended up in Oxford, had to take the ferry across.
Ooh.
It was a nice accident.
You know, I got to tell you, I would go way out of my way to ride a ferry. I know it's old-fashioned. It's
Yeah.
not a bridge. It's not. I love riding the ferry.
Yeah.
The ferry's a wonderful thing. Don't lose the ferry.
Well, still ahead on Delmarva Life, they're getting ready for the show. The Wicomico Youth and Civic Center will soon transform into a pirate and princess adventure. We'll learn more about the show next. Plus, you have a chance to win tickets. We'll tell you how.
A little bit later on, I've been waiting for this all during the show this afternoon. We're in the kitchen making peach cupcakes with a strudel topping. You gotta say, it's the perfect treat. We're getting ready to celebrate all things peach at the upcoming Peach Festival in Berlin. But first, we teamed up with Sussex County Federal Credit Union to help you make better sense of your money. Here's Cherie with this week's tip.
On behalf of Sussex County Federal Credit Union, I'm Cherie Coleman with this week's Dollars and Cents tip. Life doesn't always go as planned, especially with finances. When a life change negatively affects your credit score, it can also affect other areas of your life, such as attaining insurance, employment, and purchasing power. Thankfully, there are stepping stone programs in place to help establish or rebuild credit. Secured loans allow you to pledge funds in your savings account and borrow against them at a low rate. You'll get the money you need immediately while continuing to earn interest on your pledged funds. As your loan principal declines, your funds are released. A secured Visa card can be funded the same way, while providing you with the opportunity to have the purchasing power of Visa right at your fingertips. Both of these loans are an ideal way to attain a loan while rebuilding your credit score through consistent, on-time payments. Once your loan has been fulfilled, the positive payment history will be reflected on your credit report and in your credit score. While rebuilding credit may be time-consuming, the results are beneficial. Together, we can achieve more.